Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Look, I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know how to ask you if you're okay. My friends always feel the need to tell me things.
Let's go ahead and get started with video number 7. We're going to be talking about parallel lines, perpendicular lines, linear pair, and vertical angles. Please have your GeoBook out. Okay, our first vocab word for Unit 2 is parallel lines. By definition, these are lines in the same plane that do not intersect. The notation used are two little vertical lines as shown. I have my line M is parallel to line N. Go ahead and pause the video and write this down on your the next open spot in your GeoBook. Moving on to our second vocab word, which is perpendicular lines. And these lines intersect to form 90-degree angles as shown. I have my lines L and M, and they're intersecting at exactly 90 degrees, as you can see. The notation for perpendicular lines is this symbol here that looks like a T that's upside down. Okay, please pause the video so you can copy the definition and the diagram. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at linear pair. By definition, a pair of adjacent angles whose non-common sides are opposite rays. So let's go on over to see what exactly adjacent angles are. Adjacent angles share a common side and have a common vertex. So let's look at the diagram. I have my angle 1 is right here. Angle 2 is here. They have this common side right here, this common side here that they are sharing. The vertex is right here. Okay. And by the definition, they also have non-common sides that are opposite rays. So I have a ray right here, and it's opposite, going in the opposite direction to this ray right here. Also, by definition, a linear pair has a sum of 180 degrees. So the sum of those two angles are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. I have the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. Go ahead and pause and take down the notes for this vocab word. Okay, moving right along, go ahead and go on over to a new page in the notes section of the GeoBook and title it just like I have it here, linear pair / vertical angles. My first example is going to be on a linear pair, and we're going to solve for the variable x. So I have my two angles here and here. They're sitting on a line. A line has measures 180 degrees. So these two angles have a sum of 180. To begin solving for x, we're going to set up our equation. I have that this angle is equal to this expression right here, 4x plus 20. And the second angle is equal to this expression right here, x minus 10. And we're going to set that equal to 180 degrees. Okay, let's go ahead and continue solving. And I'm going to start by combining my like terms. I have 4x right here, and I have this single x right there. So 4x plus x, I get 5x. And we're also going to combine these two right here. I have 20 plus negative 10. In other words, 20 minus 10 is going to give me positive 10 is equal to 180 degrees. Let's go ahead and solve for x. My next step, I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Okay, so these are going to cancel. Bring down what I have. I have 5x is equal to 170. My next step, divide by 5. And I'm going to get that x is equal to 34. Let's go ahead and box that answer. The last vocab word we're going to be looking at today are vertical angles. By definition, these angles are two non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. They are non-adjacent because the vertical angles, for example, 1 and 3, are not sharing a side. They do not have a common side. 4 and 2, or 2 and 4, are also vertical. They are not sharing a side. But they do share a vertex, and that would be this point here where the two lines intersect. Also, by definition, vertical angles are congruent, meaning that these angles have the same measure. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, which is right here. These two are congruent, so we're going to mark them with the same congruency mark, just like that. And I also have that angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. So to indicate that, we're going to put double marks for these two angles. Those two have the same measures. Okay, to sum it up, I have angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles, and angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. Go ahead and pause the video so you can jot down the vocabulary word. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at our second example. And this example is going to go with vertical angles. Okay, I have vertical angles. And the diagram, the two angles seem to form like this bow tie shape. And I have my vertical angles here and here. So this angle here is represented by this expression 2x plus 6, and this one is 96. So in other words, these two angles are congruent. They have the same measure. So if this is 96, this angle is also 96. But here we're being asked to solve for x, so let's go ahead and set up the equation. Okay, the setup for the equation, I have 2x plus 6 is equal to 96. Okay, and we've set them up with an equal sign. Those two measures are congruent. Just as stated above, vertical angles are congruent. So let's go ahead and solve for x. My first step, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And we're doing this because of the equality. So this cancels. Bring down what I have. I have 2x is equal to 90. My next step, I'm going to divide by 2. And in this case, I have x is equal to 45. Let's box that. Go ahead and pause and take down the notes, please. My third example is also on vertical angles. My vertical angles are notated here. So these are my two expressions that represent my two vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent, meaning that the measures are equal to each other. They have the same size and measure. So let's go ahead and set up the equation. Well, I have it set up here already. I have 3x plus 9. This angle is equal to this angle. So we're going to set them equal to each other and follow the instructions. So we're solving for x. Okay, so I want to get my x's over to one side. So my first step here, I am going to subtract 2x to both sides. Okay. That's going to cancel over on that side. I'm going to bring down what I have. I have 3x minus 2x. It gives me a single x, 1x. Plus 9 is equal to 26. Okay, my next step, I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. These cancel. Bring down what I have. I have x is equal to 17. Go ahead and box the answer. Go ahead and pause the video and make sure you copy this example on box 3.
Because